Tune in to the Red, White, and Blue Show, where David, Martin, and Nick will blow your mind talking religion, politics, and money too. It's a talk show that's always in prime time. With their unique perspectives and in-depth analysis, they'll keep you informed on the latest news. So join the conversation on the Red, White, and Blue Show with David, Martin, and Nick. Your go-to views.
Okay, so it's the Red, White and Blue Show. Myself, Nick Smith, Martin Costello, every single Wednesday, 7 p.m. on Twitter Spaces, talking about the latest, the hottest, the greatest topics going. This evening, we've got some very interesting topics we want to cover. And the very first one, I just can't wait to get it off my chest. It's been bugging me all day. Guys, have you seen what's going on with the Church of England? So they've announced now that they're looking to have a gender-neutral God. And they're looking into doing same-sex marriages as well.
Absolutely disgusting, isn't it? I mean, it's quite clear that the church has been infiltrated by these Marxists now, and they just cannot leave anything alone. It's just, I mean, this goes back to Adam and Eve, doesn't it? Really, I mean, they'll be non-binary next. You just wonder how far these fanatical people are going to take it, doesn't it? What do you think, Nick?
Yep.
David,
we'll wait for Nick to come back in. Might be having trouble with his mic there. I think it's just outrageous, Martin. It's absolutely outrageous. I'm boiling inside. I couldn't wait. This morning I was listening to the radio on the way to work, and I heard this news, and I was just like, this is unbelievable. We've got, a homosexual communist who's the head of the Church of England, pushing this globalist ideology, pushing this globalist agenda, and Christianity is weak. Christianity is on its knees. And that's why they're going after everything, aren't they, these Marxists? They're breaking down the nuclear family unit, and what better to go after than Christianity? The foundations of this country, of the Western world, are built on Judeo-Christian heritage, and that's why they're going after it. And it's time that the people woke up, especially Christians. They're being persecuted, in the Middle East and certain countries of a certain other religion, and now we've got this on our doorstep. We have communists, dirty, scummy, lefty communists running the church, and they're now telling us that God. How long before they say he was a tranny? How long before God was a tranny? He, she. And how long before we see Sam Smith becomes the new Messiah? Yeah? It's outrageous, Martin. It boils my piss. I've had enough of it.
It is.
I've really had enough. It's ridiculous. It's time people stood up, and fought for what's right, because it's going too far now. It's absolutely going too far.
It is. I mean, the church is on decline anyway, as we know, but I think he was quite right to bring up the destruction to the family unit. I mean, this has been going on for a while now. It's all part of the mass and depopulation agenda, as far as I'm concerned. But to bring things like this into the church is absolutely appalling. And you're right. People should be outraged by this. This is the way the Church of England is going. It is on self-destruct mode. If this continues, then they'll achieve their aim of destroying Christianity, which is what they want, don't they? As part of the global order, basically.
That's exactly what it is.
They're doing a bloody good job at it as well. All these, it's like, again, though, it goes back to like the last days of Rome, when you're seeing all this appalling behaviour going on. We are literally at end times now. And I'm not surprised, Dave, that your blood was boiling today.
Don't get me wrong, Martin. No, I'm not a staunch Christian. The only time I go to church is weddings, christenings, and funerals, like most people. But it's fact that this institution goes back, this ideology goes back thousands of years, and we're seeing everybody appease to these weirdos. That's what they are, weirdos, right? Let's be frank. And now they've got hold of the church, and you've got priests from the C of E on radio, on TV, saying they think it's a good idea.
Yeah. You know what? I'm glad I managed to come into this now. I was having a bit of technical problems there. But David, you're right. Martin, you're right. I think this is Christianity's been on the decline for decades now, and I think this is another nail in the coffin. Pardon the pun. But I'm not. I'm like you, David Polden. I'm not religious by any stretch of the imagination. But if it's worrying times when even the Almighty God is not safe from this wokery, this nonsense, this gender binary, non-binary crap, whatever. These are worrying times, and you're both quite right. This is the decline of Christianity on a mass scale when it's already been declined the last few decades.
The world has gone absolutely mad. It's gone, it's beyond mad to me now. It's absolutely gone. This is clown's world. This is insane, absolute insane. As I say most weeks, it's absolutely insane. They say about the second coming of Jesus. If there's any time to come back, mate, come back now and make sure you bring a tackle with you. Come on, it's insane. I just can't believe it. Absolutely,
it just makes you wonder where it's going to end, doesn't it? It's just going on and on and on, and just getting more and more crazy. Like I said, it's a crowd world. It's like living in a parallel universe. And you just never thought it would come this far. Like I said, Christians got to stand up now, say enough's enough. We can't allow this to continue. Yep. It's not going to get any better. There'd be paedophilia being normalised next unless we stamp down on this. It's gone way too far now.
I think that's already here.
Yeah, and you're right. And the thing is, we see recently in recent polls that was released that Christianity is declining. For the first time ever, there was fewer people that recognised, identified themselves as Christians. We saw that in a recent poll that was released, and now we see this.
That's from the census, wasn't it? Well, that's mental census, David. So that's there in black and white that Christianity is falling on a mass scale, whereas other religions are actually growing.
Exactly what I was about to say. So, what's the fastest growing religion in the UK?
Islam.
Can you see the wokery happening within Islam? They'll say, God was a tranny, or can you see that working?
I'd love to see how far they get with that. I don't think
we know what would happen. Far. We know exactly what would happen. It wouldn't happen, and they would get attacked. There would be fatwas put out on their heads, and they would not be able to move anywhere. They'd be put into police custody. We saw what happened with that teacher in Birmingham, still in hiding now. Christianity, bunch of pussies. And we've got the likes of that Justin Welby, the Archbishop of Wokery. He's so far in the closet, he's in Narnia. Yeah, he should not be in the position that he's in. Really angers me. Really angers me. With just how these communists have infiltrated every single institution in the UK. You name it: education, police force, councils, every single thing you can think of. They've got their tentacles in.
Yeah.
And all it's going to do is destroy it. That's all it's going to do. It's not going to improve anything. It's just more destruction on a massive scale. It's appalling to see.
It's just about the dismantling, of the Western world as we know it. They were trying to bring about communism, as we know. We've seen them over decades. What they do, they go after the nuclear family unit, and what holds the nuclear family unit together? The foundations of the Western society, as I said earlier, is Christian Judeo heritage. Once you start breaking that down, it's game over, and there's no one there to defend it.
No, you're totally right, David. And do you know what's more depressing? It's only February 2023. This is just the start of welcome to 2023, everyone.
Say no more. Deep breath. Wow. I just for me it's just insane, absolutely insane.
Peak madness.
Right, I know you guys wanted to touch on our guy who's been over in the UK with his begging bowl again, Zelenskiy. So I've missed that. What's happened? So you said did he visit Parliament today? Did he, or what's the deal?
Yeah, he was picked up, I believe, from Ukraine in a Royal Air Force Globemaster and transferred over here at the taxpayer's expense. Met by Richie Sunak, a fellow World Economic Forum
another globalist puppet,
another globalist, and then whisked off to Westminster, where he gave a speech to.
Were they holding hands, Martin?
They were.
Holding hands. Perhaps they stopped off at a Church of England church along the way. Had a marriage.
More than likely. Yeah. More. Wouldn't surprise me at all. But no, they go into Parliament. and give out this and all. It was just stomach churning. It really was to watch all this. All the MPs there applauding Zelensky as he had his begging bowl out, asking for some more money, and he thanked in advance, actually, for us for providing him or going to provide him with English fighter jets. And of course, they're not English; they're British. But it's already sealed up, isn't it? The deal's there. They're pumping out all this money still. And it's at a time when this country's financially on its knees. Inflation through the roof, the taxes are through the roof.
Yeah.
We can't even look after our own, and we're sending money out into this proxy war that NATO started, the axis of evil, NATO, and we're funding it. It makes me very angry as well, David.
What do you make it today?
It's what we do best, isn't it? It's what we do best. We help the world out before our own. It's been happening for decades, and it will continue until we have proper change in the government. So your Action Man has come to the UK. He's wearing green, as he usually does, because he's got to stay in character. Come on, folks, he's got to stay in that image of a character. So he's got to wear that combat green, tracksuit. It's hilarious. As Martin and you've said, David, and listeners will know, we are on our knees. We're going through the worst cost of living crisis ever, and yet we always find money. This is what I'm saying. So whenever there's a shortfall in Britain, whether it be social care, education, we've got to raise taxes. We've got to have budget cuts, even though we're already suffering. But when a country around the world needs money, we find that money no problem. We find that money no problem. Okay? Yeah. So I don't want to freeze for Ukraine for a proxy war. So let's end this.
Well, Nick, you might not be freezing much longer, mate, because the way things are going, we're going to head into a bloody nuclear war, and we're all going to get fried. If anything, what we should be doing, we should not be sending money to Ukraine. We should not definitely be sending, fighter jets or anything like that. We should be, trying to sit down at the table, and we're coming up with a diplomatic solution, and defusing the conflicts out there. What we're doing is we're escalating it, and it's going to go further and further and further. And this is all about the New World Order. That's just all this is about. Nothing more. It's all about power. It's all about dominance. And I don't care what anyone says. You've only got to look at where NATO is. And as you've mentioned before, Nick, about the treaty that was signed between NATO and the US when the USSR folded, they wouldn't go any further. They've been encroaching, and they've pretty much surrounded Russia with army bases, military bases, all around Russia, right? Every country. Now, if you was to look at that in reverse, if Russia did that to the US and, had military bases all around Canada, all around Mexico, surrounding the US, you would understand the US if they were a bit cheesed off about it, let's say.
100%. As you said, David, we mentioned this briefly on our last show, that Gorbachev and Ronald Reagan agreed since 1980 that NATO would not push eastwards, and since then they've adopted 13 countries.
Well, they've adopted communism, mate. That's what's happened. They've adopted that messed up ideology. They've mixed it with Marxism, woke. We have a new form, and that's what's happened. Sorry, man.
No.
I'm really wound up.
No. You're quite right to be wound up, and we need to be wound up. Otherwise, we're just going to moan about this in the pubs and clubs, and nothing will get done. We need to be wound up.
We won't be moaning about anything, mate, because we would be the ones that we turn into dust. These people, the MPs that are sitting in the parliament, I'll tell you now, they'll be in military bunkers. They'll be, in nuclear bunkers, underground. They'll be fine. It'll be us that'll be the ones that'll be getting fried. While those so-and-sos will be,
Yeah, typical. This is why I wish we could have the left and the, you go on the left if you support sending more arms to Ukraine and prolonging this war and wanting to have World War III. And we're standing here on the right, who we didn't want nothing to do with sending more money and weapons to Russia. So leave us alone and deal with them. Obviously, that's going to happen. But, our army and our resources and money have been dwindling for ages. We've only got a certain amount of tanks left. And we've only got a certain amount of weapons, and we're sending some to Ukraine when we don't need to. We're so
We've got a comment here from Matthew Bolingbroke. He's saying that's this is very true. He's agreeing with what we're saying. It is, and the thing is, it's frightening. It is in the sense that we're talking nuclear warfare. This isn't like World War I, World War II. One rocket could literally take out London alone.
Yes.
This is serious. You know,
I think we need to get away from the whole James Bond Russia is bad villain that we was all brought up on, and that sort of stereotype. Because if you look into the actual facts and research what's happening in eastern Ukraine over the last 10 to 12 years and what Russia really want, then you will have a different opinion, and you will be on the side of me, David Holden, Mark Costello, and listeners.
We just want peace. We want to be able to live our lives. You know, this is what this globalist agenda is about, isn't it? It's about fear. Yeah, it's about fear. You got fear control. I remember when I was a kid. I remember my dad telling me, one of the most powerful emotions in the world. And I was young and I didn't understand what he meant until I got older. But he said fear. Fear is a powerful thing. If you get someone scared of you, they'll do anything you want. 100%. And looking at on a global scale, that's what we saw with COVID. They put the shits up everybody. Wear your mask. Your mask protects someone else. If you don't do this, if you don't get the jab, if you do this, They scared the crap out of everybody. We saw those videos. It's all fake.
Yep. And you mentioned about fear. Fear trumps respect. You can respect someone on the highest mass scale, but you would do something for someone you fear. That fear trumps respect, and this is where we're at. Fear, like you say, controls the masses. It's why fear has been used in every propaganda.
Like what Martin and what you just touched on there, and what Martin said. About we haven't got enough money for our own, but we can dig out billions for Ukraine. If you think this, like we've got, it's estimated we've got between 6,000 and 7,000 ex-veterans sleeping rough on our streets. In the meantime,
absolute disgrace.
And in the meantime, we're happy to send people to 4-star hotels to come over illegally, give them lunch, give them dinner, breakfast, and all that, and money. But our own people, we can't help them out.
No. That's what I said to you. We're so good at helping out the rest of the world. We're so good at feeding our neighbours whilst our own household goes hungry. We're brilliant at that.
It just really angers me. The country's gone down the pan. It's not like it's going down the pan. It's gone down the pan. It's been flushed. We're on our way down the pipes. Right, there was another topic you want to touch on about today.
Well, I've got a couple. We've got spy balloon and rise of dog attacks and the justice system. Where do you want to go next?
Do you want to hit the spy balloon? Should we go with the spy balloon?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Well, look, the one thing that really shocked me about this, I mean, is I don't know. It seemed like a false flag to me. But what I found really strange is when they finally decided to shoot it down, it had already crossed the whole country and onto the other side. And then they made a big hoo-ha about taking it down. The weird thing was the US have got very similar devices, and it seems perfectly acceptable for them to allow these things, to do these things, but not for anybody else. The whole thing just really, again, it's that fear that we were just talking about. Oh, look, Chinese sending, balloons over. What can they send over next? The whole thing just stank to high heavens for me. But, we know that Beijing Biden was probably behind a lot of that anyway, because he's pretty much
sold out. Remote control. He probably had. Yeah. He was probably on remote control. He probably steered it over
whilst licking his ice cream.
I love the fact they have to send up like a raptor to shoot it down when basically a shotgun could have probably done the job. To be fair, the whole thing is just theatrical. I thought.
Well, what do you make of it, Nick? What do you make of that situation?
It's been hilarious, mate. As soon as I come across it, spy balloon, I was thinking, what? And then the Chinese tried defending it, saying it was a weather balloon, but it had gone off course. I've never heard of a weather balloon before. I don't know if anyone else has. Maybe it's just me. But it just so happened that the Chinese had let off a weather balloon. It went off course. And it just so happened, apparently, that this weather balloon, spy balloon, was stationary for a bit over Montana, where the military bases / buildings are in America. Right. But, I agree with Martin. Listen, I don't know whether it's a distraction or whether it's just this, that, and the other. But from what I can see and what I've gathered, it was there for around 4 days before it was shot down. One army general said it couldn't be shot down straight away because of the risk of debris. That's what he said.
Yeah, I heard that. You don't know exactly what was in the balloon. It could have been, some sort of another virus or something. You never know. So
Yeah, that's. But what made me laugh is that there's a video. It's just a random one, but of an American. He's filming the moment when the spy balloon, weather balloon, whatever it is, apparently gets shot at from American Air Force, and he goes, "Yeah, that's my Air Force right there, buddy. That's my Air Force right there." And I'm thinking, but it's been there for 4 days. If it is a spy balloon, it's gathered all the information it needs, and you've given it 4 days before you shot out a balloon from apparently the most military advanced country in the world. So I thought there's nothing to be proud of there. But so the whole thing is a laughable, hilarious sort of sketch. And again, welcome to 2023.
Yeah, I think it could be a distraction technique from something else that's being pulled from the shelves, which I won't mention because we get banned. But apparently something's being pulled, which some people, should we say, had 2 doses of and 3 doses of, and but apparently I hear that's being pulled from the shelves. So maybe it was a distraction for that. Who knows?
Yes, that's the thing.
Wow, incredible! All sorts of things going on there. But it's just weird though. Why that would be even a story though? Really, wouldn't it? A weather balloon coming over like that. It's just the whole thing's just bloody ridiculous. It's clearly a smoke screen for some end.
Just shoot it down straight away. No problem. Job done. You've done it float above your country for 4 days. As soon as it comes into your airspace, bang. See you later. Job done.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you thought would have been done by the most apparently most advanced military country in the world. That's what you thought would have been done, which is why I think there's more questions to ask, and obviously we'll learn a lot more over the next few weeks, months, years, whatever.
Yeah, but even with like weather balloons, I mean, we don't need. We've gone way beyond that technology now. That's why it just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. We've got radar, satellite, all these different things. I mean, that is. Weather balloon stuff is like from the 40s or 50s. Didn't they shoot a weather balloon down over Roswell, or one crashed or something once? That was a weather balloon, wasn't it?
Wouldn't surprise me at all. Right, next topic, we're going to touch on the justice system. Nick, you was briefly chat about that earlier. Tell us what's been happening.
Yeah, it still continues, doesn't it? The difference in the justice system if you're rich and famous, as opposed to me, you, David, and Martin, and listeners, just the average Joe. I touch on this because Gary Glitter was released last week, I believe, only serving half his 16-year sentence for sexually abusing 3 young girls. And the main topic I wanted to touch upon was the Mason Greenwood.
Run by nonces.
I think you're right. When it gets to that point, I think you must question the judges.
For it.
Yeah. I think we've got to question the judges, the authoritarian figures, and everyone that's involved in this. Because if you're letting someone out halfway through the sentence, after being charged with sexually assaulting 3 young girls, then you must be a pedo sympathiser. But I want to touch upon the Mason Greenwood situation. If people ain't familiar with this, Mason Greenwood was a professional Man United footballer, and there was a video with his girlfriend or partner secretly filming him, and he's saying all kinds of obscene stuff. He's basically about to sexually assault her. She then has a follow-up video and photos of her being bloody and being assaulted. So with all the evidence there, with all the audible evidence and the photographic evidence, after all that, he was still found not guilty by the CPS. So I just think the justice system needs to stop, siding towards the rich and famous and just be fair and square, which we apparently pride our justice system to be on. That's quite clearly not the case.
Yeah, clearly.
No, definitely not. Yeah, I mean, like you say, it just seems like if you're wealthy and stuff, you can buy yourself out of all this, and we've seen it there. But then you look at like people like Jimmy Savile that got away with his heinous crimes for all those years. And we had like lots of those did around that sort of period. Then we just had a few scapegoats. It's disgusting. There is no justice really in this country. It's all. They will just move the goalposts all the time anyway on different things. Or, you have to have the best barristers and things. If you've got the money, you can do that to get out of things. It's all subjective. And the sentencing is the biggest joke of all. I mean, it's such a big grey area. It seems to be up to the judge on the day. But we with someone like Gary Glitter to ruin all those lives out in 8 years is appalling. But then we see that guy from the Met Police, obviously, he got 36 life sentences.
Yes.
He won't get parole until, the 30 years. But if he was somebody else, it'd probably just been brushed under the carpet. That's how disgraceful it is.
I did a video not so long ago that I know that you've seen about Alex Belfield. He got 6.5 years in prison, if I remember rightly, for he stalked woke celebrities online. He harassed them. Apparently, he sent a couple of emails here and there. But we did see the videos of the police going around his house for no reason, harassing him. So we know there's a bigger picture to it and a bigger agenda.
Yeah.
But he got 6.5 years in prison. When I looked online at the time, I found paedophiles that actually raped children, sexually abused children, and they got less time than Alex Belfield, who sent a few emails and some tweets.
Wow. And some of them just get suspended sentences. They get nothing, for noncing kids online.
Yeah.
Which
the country's
also,
run by a bunch of nonces. That's why that's why we're seeing all this attack now on kids, trying to lower the age and all that, and calling them paedophiles, minor attracted persons. They're not minor attracted persons. They are paedophiles, and they should be
monsters.
I won't say I will get banned probably, but I think we can all agree on that.
Yeah. 100%. Tell them, mate. Tell them, David. Tell them, Martin. And like you say, that's further evidence to know that most judges and authoritarian figures and politicians and lawmakers are pedos or sympathetic to paedophiles. It's an absolute. And do you know what? It's a massive kick in the teeth for young girls and women who are apparently being. It's on the rise of women and young girls being abused, and they're not going to want to come forward if they know that there's video evidence and photo evidence, and there's still not a conviction for the perpetrator.
Well, we've only got to look at just across the pond to the US, and you had Jeffrey Epstein, and we know what went on at Jeffrey Epstein's island, and we know the public figures and high-ranking officials that visited those at his island, on a number of occasions. None of the so-called clients have been arrested. All we've had is Prince Andrew pay out 12 million quid to a girl that he's never met.
Exactly. You had Bill Gates go there 37 times. I mean, you're right. There, all these so-called celebrities stuff. Why not one of them? Not one of them has been charged for anything. It is an absolute disgrace. It really is. There's no justice anywhere.
No, we saw. Do
you remember Ricky? Before we go, do you remember Ricky Gervais's speech, the Global Awards?
That was brilliant.
Yeah. And he said he was talking about what was it, Harvey Weinstein, and he put it all on them, let them know that they knew what was going on, sort of thing. And you see their faces.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
Yeah, all right, well,
absolutely. God, so I just wanted to say one thing about Ricky Gervais. The best joke I heard recently. He said, "I like the women, the old-fashioned ones, with vaginas."
the ones without penises and beards.
That's it. Yeah.
Those old dinosaurs. Yeah. That's brilliant. All right, well, that's all we've got time for. We're going to head off. So, you can catch us each and every single Wednesday, 7 p.m. on Twitter Spaces. Myself, Mike Costello, and Nick Smith, and talking about the latest topics going that week. Well, thanks a lot, guys, and I'll catch you next week.
Thank you, everyone.
Later.
Cheers.
Take care.